I don't believe that we have a weight problem. I believe we have a theology of food problem. As a Christian, I believe that our theology is so important. I believe everything basically happens from what we believe about God and what we see in his word. How we interpret those things is how we actually live our lives. For many, the struggle isn't just about calories, right? It's not just about cravings or portion control. It runs way, way deeper, right? It's rooted in how we view food and how we relate to God. And ultimately, how we make choices based on what we know about God. And so we're very intermittent with our relationship with God. What's going on, guys? JT Tapias with an idol called food. And if you are a goal-oriented person, in other words, you are a person that writes things down and you want to get after those things, but for some reason, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I'm here to tell you why that's happening to you and how to avoid it. More importantly, how to actually bring your goals to fruition every single time. Our title today is Unlock Your Super Why. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever chased a fitness goal only to lose motivation halfway through? You know what I'm talking about? January comes around, you jot all your goals down, you say you're going to get super fit, you're going to knock those 25, 30 pounds off. But man, February comes around and you've forgotten completely, right? It's just right over your head. Maybe the problem isn't the goal, isn't actually what you're setting out to do, right? It's not particularly the goal that is the issue, but more importantly, your reason for pursuing it. Okay, today we're going to dive into those competing desires within our hearts, the ones that often cloud our ability to discern what we truly want, and more importantly, why we should pursue it. We'll be focusing on an exercise that I absolutely love. It is a killer exercise called 7 Levels Deep. This is a powerful tool that I share with my members to help them get beyond the surface level intentions and uncover their intrinsic motivation that actually moves the needle in their lives. Now, you can apply this to whatever realm of life you want to apply it to. I am a nutrition coach, so I for 2 decades, I've been doing this with my nutrition clients. Hence the reason we have amazing results, and 9 out of 10 people that come through our program absolutely crush their goals. So you can use this for whatever you want, but if it's particular to fitness, I think this example is going to be very, very helpful for you. So the question I think we all need to ask ourselves before we tackle anything and any goal is, why is this important? Because somewhere along your journey, if it hasn't already happened, it's going to get tricky, right? You're going to get to that place we call the valley of despair, and things get super tricky. You'll face resistance. You'll begin to question why you're even doing this. That's exactly why having a strong foundational why is non-negotiable, right? This is something that I do with all of my clients before they get started. This is super important because without it, we just fail. And I'm going to explain to you how that actually happens. And I'm going to give you the actual process of how we fail so that you can be very aware of it and you can see it coming your way when it starts to happen, okay? So before we set a goal, any goal, it's essential to ask yourself these questions, right? Why does this matter? Not just on the surface, but at your core. Why is this important to me, right? If you've watched my videos before, you hear me say this all the time, and I might sound like a broken record, but understanding what moves us and why it moves us is the key to lasting transformation. Once again, this is why our core value is sustainability. We teach people sustainability inside of our programs. I don't want to believe simply that people just are obese because, America is obese because we have, fast food restaurants and because we do everything big here. And when you go to McDonald's or Burger King or any of those places, everything is, extra big, right? You can get a bigger order. You can bump up your order for a couple of dollars. I really don't believe that that's the issue. I don't believe you're big bone. I don't believe it's because you're from the Midwest or you're German or French or Italian or any of those stories that we hear people say to themselves all the time when they're battling with weight. I don't believe that we have a weight problem. I believe we have a theology of food problem. As a Christian, I believe that our theology is so important. I believe everything basically happens from what we believe about God and what we see in his word. How we interpret those things is how we actually live our lives. For many, the struggle isn't just about calories, right? It's not just about cravings or portion control. It runs way, way deeper, right? It's rooted in how we view food and how we relate to God. And ultimately, how we make choices based on what we know about God. And so we're very intermittent with our relationship with God. I know this because I talk to many, many believers. Some days they pray, some days they do their devotional time, many times they don't. And the same thing happens when we get on these fad diets. We're on, we're off, we're on, we're off. That's why it's called yo-yo dieting, right? People yo-yo diet all the time. We're very inconsistent with things. And I truly believe it has to do with more than just us not being disciplined people. There's so many areas of our lives that we've spiritualized. Many aspects of our lives are spiritualized. Our finances, our relationship, even our career decisions. But somehow food has remained in a category of its own, and it's untouched by our theology. And until we confront the deeper belief that we hold about food, comfort, control, reward, and even identity, we'll continue to treat symptoms while ignoring the actual source. The truth is, our relationship with food is often a mirror of our relationship with God. As I said earlier, we're very intermittent in these areas. And this isn't just about nutrition, it's about temple stewardship. So I truly believe that how we do anything is how we do everything. If we can control this aspect of our lives, if we can get to a foundational why that helps us through the difficult times, then this whole struggle with fad dieting and yo-yo dieting and all these things will go away once and for all. Now, if you don't struggle with this, I probably already lost you, right? But if you know what I'm talking about and you've been on this struggle for I don't know how long, you lose weight, you gain it back, you go to a restaurant, you feel self-conscious about what you ate, you beat yourself up for 2-3 days, and the cycle goes on and on and on and on. And it almost zaps the excitement out of socializing around food. So I want to show you how to have freedom. I want to show you how to get to your ultimate goal. And so this is why these 7 levels deep, this exercise, 7 levels deep, is so incredibly important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make pretend, and I wish I had someone here to interview, but since I don't, I'm going to do my best to cater to your understanding of 7 levels deep. Okay. So this can be for yourself, or maybe you want to do it for someone else. You want to be an accountability partner for someone else, and that's totally okay. So the first level question, right? You come to the table with yourself or someone else, and the question is, why do you want to achieve this goal? Very surface level, right? This is their initial answer. Your initial answer is always surface level. It really has a lot to do in this first level with the shiny stuff, right? I want to feel better. I want to, I want to look better, which, by the way, these things are valid. They're just not going to get us through this. So then level deep, right, is when we actually, so let's say that person says, well, I want to feel better. So level 2 question is, why is this important to you, right? Now, what we want to do here is we want to dig deeper into the significance of that initial answer. So I want to get fit because I want to feel good. I want to look good. Okay, why is that important to you, right? Now they're going to say, well, I've been struggling with my weight for a long time, and it's really starting to bother me. So then we move on to level 3. The level 3 question is, why does this matter to you personally? So here's where it starts to get interesting. Okay, we went from surface level. Now we're starting to get, to the deeper stuff. And they'll say, well, my parents struggled with weight. They were very unhealthy. They passed those habits on to me and my siblings. And now I am passing those same things over to my kids. So now we're getting into the more intrinsic stuff. Now we're more personal, right? And so what we want to do for ourselves or for that other person is encourage them to connect to their goal through their personal values and experiences. So they're telling you about, their background, their parents, and, there's a little bit of friction there, right? Level 4 question then is, why does that resonate with you at a deeper level? Here is where we really get deep, and they say, well, based on my parents' habits, they actually ended up dying of XYZ based on their lifestyle. I have kids. I want to be around for my kids. I don't want to pass those habits on to my kids. So when we get here, if you're doing this for someone else or for yourself, you want to push them or yourself to explore the emotional and psychological resonance. If this person's parents passed away based on lifestyle, you're going to notice, if you're talking to someone else, or even if you're asking yourself these questions, that there is an emotion that's evoked by these questions. This is what I mean by emotional physiological resonance, right? This is going to evoke emotions, right? Emotions are the fast track to the brain. So we're getting somewhere here, okay? Level 5 is, why is that emotion or belief important to you, right? And here's where you start to identify the underlying beliefs, right? Or feelings that drive the goal. So they'll say, my parents passed away. I'm scared out of my mind. I don't want to leave my kids alone. I want to be able to walk my kids down the aisle. I want to do things different. Great. Level 6 question is, why do you believe that is a core part of who you are? and they'll say, well, I am committed to doing things different. I don't want to do what my parents did to me. I don't want to cause the traumas, the hurt, the pain, right? The loneliness that I felt growing up without my parents, not being there for special moments, Christmas or Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, graduations, and I want to be there for my kids. Now, what's happening here is we're connecting them to their goal. This is an identity, right? Or a sense of self that they're expressing, and where they're saying, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm going to do things different. I'm going to do that not just for me, but for my kids and their kids. And I'm here because I want to break this generational curse, and I want to be the one to stop it. So then level 7 question is, why does achieving this goal ultimately fulfill or align with your purpose? Here's where we wrap it all together. This person has said they're sick and tired. They want to break this generational curse. They want to be an example to their kids, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to change. When you hear that, okay, now this person has a very, very strong intrinsic why that's going to push them through the difficult times. And we went from a very surface level. Notice that question 1 was, why do you want to achieve this goal? Well, I want to be fit. Well, I want to look good. And even though that's valid, we understand that those things never get us very far. And so now we have a strong why, that when things get difficult, when, you wake up and you don't want to do the cardio, or you don't want to eat the certain meal, or you don't want to meal prep, et cetera, you can always go back. If you were doing it for yourself, maybe you've written it on a piece of paper. You want to remind yourself those intrinsic foundational why, and that's going to bring you back on track. Okay. Or maybe you're doing it for someone else. You want to vocalize this to them and say, here's what you said to me, right? And this gets them back on track. Guys, I've been doing this for 2 decades, and I'm telling you right now, when you can pull on people's heartstrings or on your own heartstrings and bring conviction, it is powerful. So if you've struggled with this area of food, or any area, or not bringing your goals to fruition, saying you're going to do something and falling off, it's simply because you don't have a strong why. You don't have an excuse. I just gave you the cheat sheet. This is what I do with my clients. I've been doing this for 2 decades. Hence the reason 9 out of 10 people that come through our programs crush it. And you can apply this to any area of your life. So as I always say, I hope you put these things into action. If you've sat here for 13, 14 minutes of this video and it goes in one ear and out the other, and you don't do anything with it, it's your fault. I've gifted you this. I hope you really, really use it. My name is JT Tapias with an idol called food. I'm the founder of the Empty Your Bucket Nutrition Plan, and I am excited for you. I know that if you put these things into action, you are going to absolutely crush it. I'll talk to you soon. If we're not friends yet, subscribe to this channel so we can stay in touch. Talk to you guys then. Ciao, ciao.